Some countries have armies, flags, elections, and borders, but on the official world map, they don't exist. These are unrecognized states, shadow republics locked in limbo. They function like countries, but lack the only thing that makes one matter: recognition. Some are frozen relics of the Cold War. Others are modern democracies seeking legitimacy. All of them challenge the very concept of statehood. In international law, the Montevideo Convention of 1933 laid out 4 criteria for statehood. 1A, defined territory. 2A, permanent population. 3, an effective government. 4, the capacity to engage with other nations. But law alone doesn't decide who counts. Recognition by powerful states is what turns governance into sovereignty. Under the declaratory model, if you meet the 4 criteria, you're a state. Under the constitutive model, you're not, until others say so. In today's world, power decides which theory wins. Somaliland declared independence from Somalia in 1991, after years of brutal repression under Siad Barre's dictatorship. What followed wasn't anarchy, it was governance. With over 30 years of peace, it has built its own police force, judicial system, and functional democracy, with 5 competitive elections since 2003. Its main port, Berbera, is now a strategic node leased by the UAE and eyed by Ethiopia, a landlocked regional power desperate for Red Sea access. Still, Somaliland remains in legal purgatory. Its lack of UN recognition blocks IMF funding, foreign banking, and participation in international courts. Why no recognition? The African Union fears a precedent, fearing that Somaliland's success may embolden other separatist movements across the continent. Transnistria is a 400-kilometer sliver of land that broke away from Moldova in 1990, just before the Soviet Union fell. Its fear, reunification with Romania, and the erasure of Russian-speaking identity. A short war in 1992 ended in a stalemate. Ever since, Transnistria has operated with its own government, army, currency, and flag, complete with Soviet-style hammer and sickle. Russia props it up with free gas, weapons, and economic aid. It's also home to one of Europe's most opaque economies, sustained by cash, barter, and black market trade. In 2025, a gas cutoff during the Ukraine conflict led to massive blackouts. The crisis exposed Transnistria's total dependency on Moscow. Without Russia, Transnistria would collapse within months. With Russia, it remains a lever over Moldova's EU aspirations. These regions erupted into war with Georgia in the early 1990s, following ethnic unrest and nationalist uprisings. After Georgia tried to reassert control in 2008, Russia invaded. The 5-day war ended with Moscow recognizing both Abkhazia and South Ossetia and permanently stationing troops. In Abkhazia, Russia is building naval infrastructure and runs its intelligence outposts. In South Ossetia, barbed wire fences slice through villages, part of a creeping annexation known as borderization. Georgia calls it occupation, Russia calls it peacekeeping. The EU calls it a violation of international law. The Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus, or TRNC, was declared in 1983, 9 years after Turkey invaded the north in response to a Greek-backed coup. Only Turkey recognizes it. Everyone else, including the EU, considers it occupied territory. TRNC's economy depends on Turkish subsidies. Most international trade must go through Turkey. Its citizens use Turkish lira and carry passports that aren't valid outside of Ankar's sphere. It maintains an active tourism and education sector, with universities attracting students from the Middle East and Africa. But degrees are often unrecognized abroad. The region's strategic location, near maritime gas reserves, ensures it stays a pawn in broader Mediterranean tensions. Nagorno-Karabakh, known to Armenians as Artsakh, had functioned as an unrecognized state for over 30 years. Ethnic Armenians controlled it after a 1994 ceasefire, despite international recognition of it as part of Azerbaijan. Backed by Armenia and protected by Russian peacekeepers, the republic had a flag, currency, government, and for a time, hope. In 2020, Azerbaijan retook parts of the region. In 2023, it launched a final offensive. Russia, distracted in Ukraine, stood down. By January 2024, the Republic of Artsakh ceased to exist. All its institutions were dissolved, its people displaced. It became the ultimate lesson. De facto control means nothing without de facto protection. Why do these places persist? Because powerful states want them to. Unrecognized states offer strategic leverage without the legal baggage of annexation. Their forward operating bases, listening stations, and diplomatic pressure valves. Recognition would mean taking responsibility. Non-recognition means plausible deniability. But behind every flag and frozen border is a life interrupted. In unrecognized states, everyday existence is filled with restrictions. No international travel, no legal ID, no student visas, no access to global banking. Some persevere, some emigrate. Most live in uncertainty, forgotten by the very institutions that claim to uphold human rights. The lines on our maps look permanent, but as these places show, recognition isn't about law. It's about power, politics, and patience. You've been watching TubeGeo. Subscribe for more deep dives into the places the world pretends don't exist, but whose stories reveal everything about how our world really works.